Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Atkins, it's great to see you. Appreciate you being here today. There's been a lot of discussion on digital assets and other things, and I just wanted to say how much I appreciate your work to embrace technology and the industry and innovation and how we do that well here on our shores. The new and measured perspective that you've brought to the agency is also refreshing, particularly compared to your predecessor. And I look forward to continuing to work with you and the committee to ensure that the U.S. remains the global leader in the crypto space. I wanted to just ask a couple of questions. I follow up on a conversation that we had at your confirmation about CAT. I've highlighted numerous times the serious privacy and security risk posed by CAT, and from my perspective, and potentially constitutionally, the concerns that are there. I'm very encouraged under your leadership that the SEC has taken steps to fix some of these issues, including reducing the enormous cost and stopping the collection of consumers' personally identifiable information. I do worry, though, that by the SEC just using the exemptive relief, that these changes could potentially be reversed by a future administration. So, one like under Chair Gensler that does not value consumer data privacy or cost savings. So can you speak to this and how we can implement long-term structural changes?
Oh, thank you, Senator. The problem with the Consolidated Audit Trail, I think, from the beginning, basically, is a lack of a clear roadmap for what it was to become and, what attributes it had. There were it's like a Christmas tree, all baubles got added to it over the years without a lot of necessarily good management and planning. So I think that's the, problem with the SEC and then working with SROs. So from when I first got to the SEC, I called together, the SROs and the teams and just told them that, this is not going to be business as usual, that we need to cut the costs down by, under $100 million a year. We have to address some of these really longstanding issues about the constitutionality and protection of investor data. And then, so we are actively working on that, and I'm happy to say that the cost has come down, and so we still have a number of issues to work out, and so we will be, engaging in rulemaking on this eventually to get this right-sized. But it's a real critical issue. But we have their blue sheets don't necessarily exist anymore, and so we have issues there where we need to figure out what will replace that.
And what is the timeline that you see for that?
Well, that's critical. So, I'm hoping this year that, we can address a lot of this, and, it's just a matter of rulemaking and the process there for notice and comment.
Good. I also appreciate your focused on tailored regulation. I actually discussed this with Secretary Bessent here last week. When our agencies properly calibrate regulation and focus on actual material risk rather than hypotheticals, it ensures that supervision is grounded in economic reality rather than subjective ideology. I would assume that you agree with me on that, and I know that you've mentioned a plan to target what you've called, quote, information overload. Can you speak to that and kind of give me a little bit more detail on your thoughts there?
Well, one of the main principles of securities disclosure was articulated very well by Thurgood Marshall back in 1976, writing for the court, where he said that the disclosure needs to be grounded in materiality, meaning for the reasonable investor, what is essential for that person to know to buy, sell, or to make a decision to buy, sell, or hold, or vote his investments. And so, and if you don't have that grounding, then there's a danger of information overload, just an avalanche of trivial information. And so here, with this Entergy 10K annual report weighing in at almost 1,000 pages, I mean, that's an example of how things have, I think, gotten way out of whack, and we have to address that.
Thank you so much. I'm out of time, but I have a couple more questions, so I'll submit those for the record.
Thank you.
Thank you.